There we go. We are recording, everybody. Great. Well, I cannot believe we are at week 6, as Dawn said earlier. It's crazy. It is just flying by. But this presentation this evening, I must say, I had so much fun making it. It is just incredible. And I got the inspiration for this in our mentoring session with Tracy, which is great. So I kind of changed it around from when we chatted. So, it's really good, really, really good. So I'm really quite chuffed with this. Um, it is about building your dynamism to gain resilience and clarity. And you know how I love my acronyms. And so we are going to go through dynamism, D being distraction. Then we have Y, we have our Y. We're going to talk about some neuroscience. You know how I love to throw my science. Everything is science-based to back things up. We have some actions, mindfulness, and we also have improving yourself, scheduling, and motivation. So as we run through, each of the letters of dynamism will give us the full outlook of how we can gain resilience and clarity as well. So as always, this is going to be recorded, so you can always watch it back. And for those of you who couldn't make it this evening, then we will just put that on there. Just a minute, I'm just going to pin myself. Pin. There we go. Okay, great, great, great. So let's take a look at distractions. Oh my goodness, this was such a crazy area when I've really been working on this myself. And I actually personally, and let me just admit, Marion, I actually personally have, hi Marion, great that you could join us. Fantastic. Purchased an online course to help me cut all of my distractions. And so I'm going to do probably a webinar just on distractions, but I wanted to actually talk about a few of the things that I've been learning on the course as well. And what's really fascinating is that actually when we are distracted, we're only in this continual partial attention. So whether we're at home, we're at work, we're at the airport, we're with the kids, whatever, we are rarely fully present and engaged in the task at hand because of distractions. And it really is fascinating. So, there's always these ideas like, oh, we should be multitasking. Well, interestingly now, we've done, multitasking used to be the craze, right? And now they're taking a look, well, actually, multitasking isn't as great. We should be monotasking. And so when we're doing these multiple streams of information at the same time, it actually scientifically, which there was a study done in 2019 at Stanford University, the conclusion was it diminishes the cognitive performance. So I thought that was fascinating. And they found within this multitasking study that they did that the correlations between diminished working memory and sustained attention was very interesting. Plus, it also went on to say interruptions kept us from concentrating on the actual important task. And so then I started researching a little bit more about that, and I found this great bit of research from Microsoft. And Microsoft shows that after each interruption, it takes around 23 minutes on average to refocus on that task at hand. So then I started looking at another report that was linked to, and that report linked to saying that 51% of the US employees at Microsoft, okay, were not engaged. And so this was a real turning point for Microsoft to actually take a look at distractions. So I just found that really, really interesting. So one of the books I've started reading on distractions is a book by Adam Alter, Alter. And it's his book called Irresistible: The Rise of Addictive Technology and the Business of Keeping Us Hooked. Now, he writes a lot about the behavioral addiction to our devices and actually how these devices are made to be addictive, how Facebook is made to be addictive, all the apps that we have. And basically, at its core, this kind of crisis of distraction is this internal challenge, and the challenge that can only be affected by the mindset, shifting to this new mindset of resilience, which is really interesting because, you know, resilience, after all, is our ability to stay centered, present, and focused in the midst of the experience of stress and uncertainty and distraction. So that is a definition of resilience. So if we can tackle distractions, then we will automatically become more resilient. So it's really good. So I just think it's just a muscle we just need to build. So as I go through my course, I'm going to be doing some lives and doing some other things, but just a few things that I have changed. So I took this, it's a 30-day course, but I bought the course and you can just, download it. Anyway, how many days did I do? I think I've done 20 days already, and I only bought it on Sunday because I just dedicated Sunday to it, because I just wanted to get it done. So a couple of things that I did was I have reorganized my phone. I've reorganized them in different like pockets, okay? And done them all like this, if you can see that. And why I did that is what they said was it was really good. So on my opening page, which is really interesting, there are no pings and ticks on my opening page, but it has my important stuff. So it's got, my camera, which I use all the time. It's got my banking. It's got my Fitbit, my calendar, my contacts. It's got WhatsApp, and it's got messages. But in my WhatsApp, now the unimportant messages, I put the ringtone off. So I thought that was good. So when I open my phone, or if my phone is open, actually, there's not as many distractions unless it's priority things. The next one over now, you might be able to see there are like messages actually on there. So, and I've got things like my social media is on the second one. So I actually physically have to swipe to the next one to get those ones. So I have a choice at that time. I have a choice to either not swipe and take a look, or I can swipe and get caught in it and potentially waste my time. But I've also turned off the pings and the dings, because it's the pings and the dings that distract us as well. So we have our internal distractors and our external distractors. So really I'm talking about a lot of the external ones that we can actually do. Now, for you ladies who work at home with kids, do you know what? I'm in a private Facebook for this as well, and we were all putting some ideas. And this one lady, Tracy, oh my God, I thought of you as soon as she did it. She works at home. She's in America. I think she has like 5 kids or something. I was just, that's super crazy, super busy, and works full time, owns her own business. So anyway, she gets distracted all the time. So she bought a little glow halo. And she has now trained the kids that actually when she has the little glow halo on, she is working. If you distract her, you need to pay mommy $10. And she's got a little jar. She's got a little jar there with money in it. She takes it out of their allowance. She's like, no. And she goes, it took a while, but she goes, none of the kids distract me now when I got the halo on. And she actually does it for maybe an hour a day where they're really not allowed to do it. So she gets full working time done. Anyway, ladies, do you know what? I'm going to be buying a halo for myself. So when my kids come home, I'm going to be like, nope, the halo's on. Please don't. But I just thought, it's little things like that, because there's nothing worse than, and it's something that I always hated saying to the kids when we went grocery shopping, is I hated saying no. Mommy, can I have this? No. Mommy, can I have that? No. Do you know what I mean? It just doesn't make it fun. And actually, when they, at a home and they're knocking on the door, Mommy, can you just drive me here? Can you drive me there? It's like, got the halo on. Don't even talk. So I just think if we can really take a look, where are our distractions during the day for yourself, but also when you do taking this into corporate wellness, distractions need to be one of the main things that we need to cut. So yesterday was the first work day I had with my new, where did I put it? Hold on. With my new work schedule, all color-coded, timed out with, oh my God, look what I bought. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my God, I was so excited. These arrived today, so I'm going to use them next week. Look. I know. This is just like, I said, if there's anything that makes me happy, it is rainbow highlighters. So I have a new set of highlighters. I'm going to be block timing to cut distractions and then doing things in between. And I have just been plowing through my work this week, plowing through it. So yeah, it's been really good. And you know what? I have felt super energized just with that alone. So yeah, and I got the idea of doing all of this yesterday, which is really great. So cool stuff.
Barbara, can I just ask,
Yeah.
when you talk about the time that you make non-negotiable and you book it in your diary where you just need to focus and avoid all distractions,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's different for different people, but how long generally do you think the average adult can focus on one thing well?
Well, there's a lot of statistics that were thrown out around that. Now, I think it again depends where you're starting from. What was really fascinating is that I had a lot of distractions, and when I actually timed it, I would probably be distracted every 10 minutes. So I have just put in 1 hour blocks, and I have a break after an hour, or I just clear things down. Because what happens? The internal distraction. Oh my God, I wonder if someone's messaged me. Oh, do you know what? Lily was supposed to message me. I should answer her back. All those kinds of things. So we have our external, but we also have our internal, which takes over. And it's really interesting because they're strong. Yeah, we need some willpower around these. So timers really work, and I am also using a timer. So I'm really trying to retrain myself. Just like any muscle, just like any habit, this is going to take a while. So, I'm off next week. I'm going to be implementing more of the stuff next week to get prepared for the week after with all of my lovely marker pens here and doing some stuff, but really setting a new standard and a new precedent, because I have to create time for new things to come in. And actually, that was the thing, is that there was no time. And if you don't make time, nothing comes in. So it's really, really, really fascinating. Opening it up more and letting it come in. But good question. Okay, so let's move on to why. So this why, there's a lot of whys, is actually why are we naturally resilient, okay? And most of us can actually identify with a resilient person, but we really struggle to pin it down. what makes them resilient? What are those characteristics? Is it their positivity? And I believe it is, and there's a lot of research backing that up. But I don't think it's simply just that. It's not just the positivity that makes them resilient. It's actually the other way around, okay, which is interesting. Resilience enables us to have a positive approach to work and to the outlook on life as well, which enables us to better problem solve and to help maintain the motivation also. So I think the key here is actually taking a look. What are the key points of positivity? And I think that there's 7 key points to staying positive. And number 1 is using positive self-talk. And it's just so true. And almost having little mantras and things, and using positive visualization as well. And this visualization really does help, putting it in your head. Like yesterday, last night when I was doing my swim in gym, the swimming pool was so busy. Well, not so busy. You're only allowed 8 people in the swimming pool. But I tell you what, 8 people in a pool when you're not used to them seems busy. And I thought, okay, this isn't enjoyable, but I have to do 50 lengths tonight. So I did. So what I did was I started thinking about all the places in the world I have swum. I was thinking of Greece. I was thinking of, in Japan, when I took swimming lessons when I was young. I grew up in Canada with a swimming pool, all those things. And you know what? They went by like that. And I actually felt my body relaxing and just getting into the lengths a lot more because I was doing that. And I ignored the other people. And this visualization, I don't know why I thought of that. I just had to do something or get out of the pool. And that is sometimes the crossroads in the choice that we have. You can either find a way to finish what you're supposed to be doing and have the integrity of doing that. Okay, this is the other thing about scheduling and distractions, which we're going to talk about, is doing. I'm not going to spoil it. We'll get there. But is you have a choice, and you have to think of a way out of that. I could either got out of that pool because I was getting frustrated and agitated with other people in there, or find a different way to make it work. And that's, again, another way that we can do. So number 3 is surrounding yourself with positive people. This is why I love little communities, and building these wonderful little communities of people being supportive. Sarah's bootcamp community is incredible. We have a lovely little community here. I belong to some other little communities which I think are great, and helping that as around that as well. Consume positive mental food. It is so true. If we want to stay positive, we have to fuel it properly. That means dumping the junk. We know all this, right? Dumping the junk, not drinking too much alcohol. We're going to get into that a little bit more further into the presentation. I'm going to give you some really clear things to follow there. But practicing positive training and development as well. And I also think that's a real motivator and booster of not only your energy, but when you feel like you're learning something, you always feel like you're moving forward, which is a positive thing as well. And practicing those positive health habits, anything in the wheel of wellness. Okay, so we have our exercise. That's a positive health habit. Taking a look at your health, watching your finances. That financial health is super important as well. Friends and family, having fun, personal development, taking care of our environment. All of those amazing things make such a massive difference. And then having positive expectations. Yeah, so, Dawn, I was listening to you chat before, sorry to single you out. And, you were saying it was like, oh, well, the worst that can happen is this, right? Don't even say that. It's like positive expectations. The best that can happen it's just massive. And I know that's the way you're thinking because that was the second part of your sentence. But
Yeah.
why don't you flip it round? You know, I really want this to happen, but if only this happens, then, you know, that's okay. But actually, do you know what? There's a lot of research now that our brain will go to the lowest common denominator. And it if your expectation isn't up here, then actually we just reach down here anyway. So I think it's really taking a look at what those positive expectations are. Um, and really you can find positives in absolutely everything and anything. And so yeah, you know, we can talk more on that, which is great. Okay, let's take a look at the next one, which is neuroscience. So the dynamism, the neuroscience is so important, especially the neuroscience of resilience itself. And you know, what makes one person more resilient to stress than another? This is a huge area of study now because it's come to the forefront of researchers actually having that you know, inquisitive mind around it. Yeah. So why do some people sort of seemingly take even extreme stress in their stride, while others in extreme stress actually you know, get depressed and anxiety disorders? So when it really is fascinating. And I think what they're looking at is really could differences in the brain structure itself actually explain this. And it's interesting. And you know, these questions have been asked by social scientists for decades. And I really think that, you know, this fairly sort of comprehensive description has emerged of the kinds of emotional and behavioral characteristics that strive a stress resilient person. And I think a lot of this really has come out of the research. And so there's a few, you know, optimism is one of them. A strong social support system was another. The ability to find purpose in life is another. Or a grounding in faith and spirituality, and that kind of, you know, glass half full kind of person. And you know, it's I've always found this area really fascinating, especially um you know, people themselves are fascinating, right? I mean, you know, I'm so lucky. I do get to meet a lot of very interesting people. And a couple of years ago, this is a little bit of a sad story, and I had this client as a woman, very wealthy client. I mean, I'm talking hundreds of millions of pounds wealthy. And you know, lovely family, fit, healthy. And she lost that kind of life purpose. She sold her business that she ran with her husband. She has a daughter in who's mid 20s, and she, you know, helped her. Lived in an amazing house, lots of travel. And over the last 2 years, she depleted really quite quickly because she just lost this life purpose. Anyway, 2 months ago, she committed suicide. And I've been, my brain has been trying to understand this. And I know the daughter really quite well, and I've spoken to her and stuff like that. Obviously, devastating. The daughter's an only child. You know, I mean, and it really is around. And she said, you know, my mum just deteriorated really quickly, and went down that rabbit hole, and she just couldn't pick herself back up. I mean, I wasn't working with her in this time either. Not that, you know, it's any fault of anybody's, but you kind of think, wow, the neuroscience of what happens. And you only have to look at this brain in front of us in this image of how complex it actually is. And again, it's that choice of how can we help people. It's really, really interesting. So it gets me to this study that I've been looking at a lot of reports. And do you know what? A lot of it's only because I'm trying to understand this complex client that I had. So if I can learn from this experience, if I can see signs in anyone else that's similar, I can click them straight away. Is really where I'm at. Not only of it just being super sad and losing an amazing person, but so I read this study. It was in April 2019, and it was really interesting. But actually, what it said was we have reduced connectivity in the brains of people who are not naturally resilient. So if you have a history of people with who are resilient and who aren't, their connectivity just doesn't work. And it all takes place in those predominant changes in the amygdala. So, I can't speak with these bloody things in my mouth. The amygdala. Trying to say that, but my tongue doesn't come out. Which is, that area of the brain that has that strong learning, and that those key emotional sections. Now, interestingly, you're not going to know this, and I don't think I've ever told you, but one of my dissertations for my doctorate of naturopathy was actually around the vestibular. And the vestibular is the part of the brain which is right at the base of the neck. And the vestibular actually is amazing for a lot of our gut health issues, because it's where the vagus nerve actually attaches, and the vagus nerve goes straight from the stomach all the way through the neck and the tongue, and hits that area. And if you can do vestibular activities which are activate that bit of the brain, like swinging. I'm lisping a lot tonight, sorry. This sort of swinging action activates the vestibular and the amygdala as well. And it's really interesting because it gets it connected. It really, really does. And do you know what? There's just a surge of research at the moment at the neuroscience of resilience in this relatively new way, because we need it. And these, again, we want to identify the strategies that actually support brain health and mental health across the lifespan of a person, because this really is super duper important. And what's even more interesting, okay, is that each time we open our inbox or a text stream, we encounter something new, like a list of messages or a list of a feed. If you ever opened a WhatsApp chat and you're like, there's like 27 messages that you got to read, that kind of thing. Did you know that this triggers small bursts of dopamine, right, to the brain regions? It is fascinating. And this kind of level of neurobiology, it's like the same level that a gambler has with pulling that lever in a slot machine and wondering, what's going to happen next. And that is a very, very interesting science. Very interesting. But that's what keeps us, number one, hooked to things on our phone, okay? But it also is when you're only giving that dopamine into that one area of the brain, the connectivity of the others fall apart. It's absolutely fascinating when you look at this even more. It really, really is a great area. So what can we do about this? We really want to keep our brains fit, okay? And so there's 7 ways to keep a healthy brain. Number 1 is your good diet. You guys all have to eat to be fit. Go back and take a look at meal planning with the Eat to Be Fit and really get that going. Exercise is another one. As I said, the swinging exercise, which is what we don't do so much as adults. Kids do it a lot to, activate that vestibular, but adults don't. When was the last time you guys got on a swing? Yeah? So, it is a really good activity for adults to do as well. So we also want to improve our blood pressure, our blood sugar levels, and our blood cholesterol levels. And again, all of this can be done with Eat to Be Fit. So we also know that we want to avoid tobacco. Okay, that's a really, big thing. I don't, if any of you smoke tobacco or vape, but, those kinds of things, those chemicals really do affect our brain. We also don't want to abuse alcohol. So, we want to limit it to, it's 14 units a week now. Is that right? Yeah, 14 units a week. So which is like 4 glasses of wine if you're having a large 250 ml glass, right? That's it. Otherwise anything over that really is affecting our brain. It kills brain cells. Alcohol kills brain cells. Boom, end of. That is a fact.
So does smoking. I was that typical teenager in an all-girls grammar school who often would find a way to rebel, and my friends smoked, so I did, and then continued to for many years off and on. Yep. I had to have an MRI on my neck and brain about 2 years ago because I have a lot of neck pain and problems. And when I went back to see the neurosurgeon after my MRI, he pointed out really small grey areas from my brain scan. And his first question was, have you ever smoked? And even though I said not for many years, he said it doesn't matter how many years ago, once the damage has been caused, it's never repaired.
Oh my goodness, that's scary. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow. Well, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Wow, that's scary. Scary. Well, thank you for sharing that, Tracy. Yeah. Yeah, it's right. We think these things at the time, are, yeah, well, we're invincible when we're young, right? Mm-hmm. We're still young. We're still yeah, we're still young. We're still young. Okay, so the next one for taking care of your brain is caring for your emotions. And, I think years ago we were told to suppress your emotions, oh, grow up, don't cry, or especially men, and we know now how bad that actually is for us. And finally, we want to build networks. We want to build that wonderful relationship area with family, with friends, with business colleagues. Again, that positive support really, really makes a massive difference. Okay, let's take a look at action. And this is where, this is where it all is. This can change from person to person as it's prescriptive per person, right? What action you actually have to take. But there are actions that can really help with the overwhelm of this. This is something that, Tracy and I spoke about, this overwhelm, which is the first symptom of not coping, is we feel overwhelmed. And sometimes we cannot articulate it, but it's there. And it's this constant sort of cognitive impact of feeling perpetually overwhelmed, not just the once or twice, right? So this feeling can actually range from mental slowness to forgetfulness, to confusion, difficulty concentrating, or thinking logically, to a racing mind, or impaired ability to solve a problem. And I am putting a lot of 2 and 2s together here for a lot of my clients who are actually dismissing overwhelm for either a mental health problem, perimenopause, postmenopause issues, and they're brushing them under the table of what is the issue. And I think a lot of the issue of menopause, yeah, look, there's no doubt that there's some issues with that, okay? But actually, we're also in overwhelm. And so if you're not dealing with all of the stuff that's in this presentation, I don't care how many adaptogenic herbs or vitamins or minerals that you're going to take, because your symptoms are not going to change. And so it's really, really fascinating when you take a look at this. So any of these effects alone can make us feel less effective, right? And leave us feeling even more overwhelmed. And do you know what? It was this kind of a little bit of overwhelm that made me do this course on Sunday, which I had booked a couple of months ago. Because a couple of months ago, when I was taking everything on before I started delegating, I was like, wow, do you know what? This is coming in. And if you don't know how to recognize it, you can misinterpret those symptoms for something else. And so therefore, we are then dealing symptoms of what we think it might be, not getting any results for those. And then actually, it could be something as simple, when you think about it, as overwhelm. Because overwhelm, really, when you think about it, is a hell of a lot more simple to tackle than menopause, true menopause. So it's really, really interesting. And you know what? I've identified, really thinking about this and working with clients over the years, I've identified 5 strategies to try, okay, to figure out. Because this is why I have a hormone rebalance program. And this is my first protocol, okay, which is really, really interesting. So this is number 1, is you have to pinpoint the primary source of your overwhelm. You have to ask yourself this question: what 1 or 2 things, if taken off my plate, would alleviate 80% of the stress I feel right now? Really simple questions, okay? So number 2, once you figure that out, then you set boundaries on your time and your workload. So this can include the time boxing. You know, again, you can order yourself these wonderful rainbow highlighters and time box. So I've given, just to let you know, so I've got my orange, which is my personal development. So I put a line in my diary for that. I have blue as exercise. I've got pink as my Instagram and social media time. I've got my mentoring as yellow. I've got webinars as purple. I've got my daily tick list as a green. And then those are different color greens for other stuff for my deep work time, you know, where I'm going to put my little halo on that glows so nobody can like interrupt me for at least 1 hour. And then I have my other types of work all in other things. And you saw what I did with my diary, which is why I chose the action in the different colors, because you really do need to block your time out. Give yourself time to do stuff. And for some of my clients in overwhelm, we even put wake up at 6 o'clock, right? You know, have a shower, time in the diary to do stuff. How long does that actually take you? If you want to do a facial once a week, where's it going to go? And all those kinds of things. You know, and this is about integrity. So now that I have all of those things in my diary, I have to have 100% integrity with myself, because success is doing what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it. So if you've committed to it in your diary, you have to do it. And that is what makes the difference. Okay, so if you say you're going to leave the office at 5 o'clock, then leave at 5 o'clock. Otherwise, you are out of integrity with yourself. And this is when overwhelm comes in. Because do you know what? It's really easy for us to be accountable to other people, but to ourselves, it's like it doesn't matter. So we need to also learn how to say no to certain types of work. And as you guys know, and I talk about it often, I've refused work that is you know, under my value. And that's really, you know, again, because I go into overwhelm with that. So the next one here is also challenging your perfectionism. Wow, this is like something I have to do, right? Perfectionism can just lead us to tasks or projects bigger than what they actually need to be, which can lead to procrastination of actually doing it and psychological distress. All right? Because then things just pile up, and this sense of overwhelm then just absolutely grows, which can then lead to more procrastination and more overwhelm. So you have to know when good is good enough. Okay? And then by ask yourself, this is what I now ask myself, what is the marginal benefit of spending more time on this task or project? Yeah. If the answer is very little, I stop. Right? And then I just put it aside and get on to the next task. Because do you know what? You ladies, I know, and everyone who's a wellness ambassador, we hold our standards very high anyway. And I'm sure what you're doing is flippin' awesome. Yeah. So we need to really cut that sort of perfectionism bit as well. Number 4 is outsourcing or delegating. What's the highest and best use of my time? And this doesn't even have to be at work. I mean, obviously you can delegate projects, or you can even delegate meetings, whatever. But it can also be like delegating meal plan prep, delegating cleaning, and some of that actually goes back to your values as well, which is really, really interesting. So, if there's one thing I hate doing, it's vacuuming. And I've got 2 great vacuum cleaners. I've got a Dyson and I've got a Henry. Anyone else have a Henry? Oh my God, I love my Henry. But my Henry is like really heavy and I hate my Henry. And my Dyson, which I was really annoyed at, the builder used it to, anyway, he broke it. So I just bought a Shark, right? And so Paul always said to me, Paul's my husband, he always says, just let's just get a cleaner. I've had cleaners before. For some reason, I actually enjoy cleaning. I relax cleaning. I could delegate it. I delegate other stuff, but actually I enjoy vacuuming. I must have, I don't know, I like it. And so I think that that's okay, but I want good stuff to do it. So I can't wait to get my Shark out on the weekend and vacuum really, really, really nicely with my new Shark. And I just love that feeling of satisfaction. I tell you why I love cleaning, because it's a start and finish activity. A lot of activities that I do, I start it, but my finish is in like 3 or 4 months, right? I can clean this whole a big apartment now in like 2 hours. I've got it down pat. Boom. Start, finish, done. I got it. It's great. Music's high. I'm dancing around. So again, if you're not going to delegate it, at least make it fun. Yeah? And stop complaining about it. Paul hated when I would lug Henry around. I'd be like, oh, this bag. It's like, friggin' buy another one and shut up, women. It's like, yeah, I get it. And so I have, and so I'm super happy. So again, we can either outsource, delegate, or make it fun to do it, but don't complain about it, because that is when overwhelm absolutely comes in. And the last one is challenge your assumptions. If you're feeling overwhelmed with this like ongoing struggle, it's a really unproductive behavior, and you need to be really honest with that. So you need to identify the beliefs around that, right? And again, just like the cleaning, people said, oh, delegate. It's like, no, I figured out I really like it. I just want the proper equipment to do it. Yeah. So I challenged all my assumptions around it. And that's really what you need to do. Cool. The next one is mindfulness. I'm going to try to whiz through these a little bit more because, yeah, we'll get there. Okay, so mindfulness. We all know about mindfulness, and mindfulness, as we know, and resilience go hand in hand, right? They are intertwined. And we've seen that in all of the above slides as well, because a lot of it comes down to everything in the slide around here. But I kind of have my 6 C's of resilience, all right, and mindfulness. And that is calm, compassion, clarity, connection, competence, and courage. My 6 C's. There's probably more C's. I've seen creativity here. That's probably another one. So I could make it 7 C's, but we'll keep it as 6. Calm, compassion, clarity, connection, competence, and courage. All right. So when we take a look at calm, so we need to help our brain feel calm and safe so we can see clearly and to problem solve more effectively when we're faced with challenges. So what you need to instantly do if you're feeling overwhelmed, you need to like, boom, I got to get myself into a calm state. Mindfulness is one of the best ways. And again, we're going to get into that amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. So what's really interesting is the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex is like a seesaw, all right? And it is really, really interesting what happens. So it sways from one to another when we shift into, oh, look. What's that, baby number 4? Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So when we're in this sort of fight or flight, right? Either the amygdala is suppressed and the prefrontal cortex is active, or it's the other way around. And so by calming the amygdala, one of the easiest ways to do that is to express gratitude. Did you know that? It's so fascinating. So you know what? Put on your rose-tinted glasses the next time you're feeling, overwhelmed. Because pop those on and tell yourself about all the positive things around you. And as we know, those positive thoughts can change the way we feel almost instantly. And having a calm brain just helps you manage any stressful situation and builds this resilience muscle that we actually have. So the next one is compassion. And, we want to be really kind to ourselves and recognizing if you really are having a difficult time and bringing that self-compassion to this moment and that uncertainty and suffering and perhaps coming up of some kind of ways of how you can help with that. And, so you can do whatever resonates with you within the mindfulness. Is it meditation? Is it journaling? Is it dreaming? Is it having a hot bath? Just give yourself some self-care, some self-love. The next one is clarity. Look, one of the most certain things we have in life is that life is uncertain, right? And so when we face uncertainty all the time and the challenges that bring, again, the parts of the brain are in this seesaw. And that is sometimes when we feel we can't cope. So you need to, take a look again. It can be simply spending some time alone as well and looking at mindfulness and being around certain people that make you feel positive, changing your environment. And which brings me to my next one of having that connection, having that human connection and connecting with people or places around you that make you feel safe. It really helps. And then competence, right? Believe in yourself. Have the trust in yourself that you can meet whatever situation is going to come up. Here's really interesting. So in 2009, I did the marathon across the Sahara. 5 days, 102 miles over 5 days. Yeah, crazy. Carrying my own kit. And my training was with one of my friends, Ben. He runs an events company, but he's ex-SAS. He came out of the SAS because he said he didn't go into it to be shot and killed. He wanted to do other things. So he came out, started an events company, but he did all of my training. And he gave me one of the best bits of advice. He goes, Barbara, expect the unexpected. And he goes, when that unexpected happens, it wasn't what you were expecting anyway. And it took me a while to get my head around that, but do you know what? It was so true. Expect the unexpected, because actually when then that unexpected things happen, it wasn't the unexpected thing you were thinking of anyway. And I often say that. So when I'm going into a new situation or giving someone a little bit of advice, I actually give them that advice. It was one of the best bits that I had. And I was so prepared for everything. Every single thing in there, except for not reaching my destination one night. And it was the third night, and I had 12 or 14 daylight hours to reach my next destination, and it's self-navigating, and I got lost. And I was luckily, because you have to stay with a buddy, and I was with a buddy. And interestingly, my buddy, I don't know if any of you are into art, into music. Do you know Artful Dodger? Mark Hill? He was my buddy in the Sahara. We've become really, really good friends, really great friends. And so we were together that day, and we got lost. And of course, there's no phones, there's no satellite, there's nothing. I had no night navigation lesson. And it was just one of those things. Anyway, there's this rule: if you're 2 hours not coming back in the evening, they send out a search party for you. And they had to send a search party out to us. That was it. We got back, and yeah, I now have learned night navigation. Really, really, really important. Which takes me to my next one, which is courage. You just got to get on and do it anyway. There are times of uncertainty, and we need to tap into our own courage at that time. And courage means that you act and face your challenges despite the fear. Can I tell you how scared we both were that night? I mean, we were pretty scared. There's a lot of things that can happen in the desert at night. And yeah, we were pretty scared. So, you know, fear and courage are brothers. Courage exists because fear exists. And courage is about recognizing our fear, yet finding the strength to face it. So that really helps with our mindfulness. So the next one is improving ourselves. And it's taking action. This one is all about taking actions from all of these slides, right? So my top 3 actions, I'm going to give you 10 areas here, and your task in this area is to take action. I want you to take action either in your diet, either in exercise or mindfulness, or taking a look at your distractions, internal or external. I want you to take a look at either delegating, either reducing your alcohol, building a great network of positive people, quit smoking or vaping, self-care with your emotions, or finding a mentor to help you with all of this. So I want you to choose 3 of those that you can actually work on in the next week. So diet, exercise, mindfulness, internal, external distractions, delegating, reducing your alcohol, build a great network of positive people, quit smoking or vaping, self-care with your emotions, or finding something to help you, a mentor, you know, maybe a personal trainer, whatever. You will instantly gain resilience from this, and you will do that self-improvement as well. But as my next one is, you got to schedule it in and schedule time for change. So look, you know, we need to find time in our busy schedules for absolutely everything. And we need to do it by stop wasting time. Go back to distractions. Your distractions are wasting your precious time. If you remove the distractions, then you will create the time. There was a really interesting, if you go onto Statistica, Statistica, the 2021 mobile media usage study, the average person, the average adult spends 4.3 hours on their phone every day using non-voice media. That's almost a full week, right? Sorry, it's almost a full working day. And they're doing that every single day. So 4 hours a day on your phone, non-media, so they're either in a meeting or they're doing something or they're scrolling or they're doing whatever. What could you be doing in that time? Yeah? So, you know, how much of your on-screen time are you just killing time with, right? So stop wasting time to sort of hack it back. So really, number one, you want to use your phone less or schedule your time on your phone. So turn off, like I said, all the unnecessary apps, reschedule everything. I deleted about 7 different apps that I wasn't using. Get them off the phone so they can't ping at me. Allocate specific time to check your phone. So again, when you're doing that deep work with your little halo on, phone doesn't even get checked. It's off, it's out of the room, whatever. And then you can check it after that. And so there's, you know, stop multitasking is the other one. You know, do a task, get it done. Something else that I learned from the course was, is it on here? Yeah, it's not on here, but something else which I thought was really interesting that I learned from the course on Sunday was only touch an email twice. Okay, I thought that was fascinating. Once is to read it, and then to give it a tag. You can either tag it, it's got to be done today, or you tag it, it's got to be done this week. Now, I still need to work out my tags, by the way. Okay, that's on my to-do list. But I thought that was really fascinating. So this is in the area of you checking emails, because when you're checking emails, you either can do it right then and there, or you tag it that it's got to be done at the other time that you're doing emails if something is more important, or you tag it to get it done that week and put time in your diary to finish all the emails that are tagged for that time. We just don't give ourselves enough time to do stuff because we're wasting it doing something else. I thought that was a really, really great, fascinating tip as well. Okay, so getting on to the last M of dynamism is motivation. And motivation is, you know, super. So do you know what? Why is it just so hard to do the little things that when added up can actually lead to a better life? And it's a question that I, you know, ask people all the time. You know, why do we press snooze in the morning when we should be getting out of bed? Yeah? Why do we choose to watch Netflix instead of finishing off something? And the simple answer is that we gravitate towards the easier option because our brains are hardwired to protect us from pain and discomfort. And sometimes if we are unmotivated, doing those things means it's painful. But when you build resilience and when you build good habits, which takes a conscious effort and actions, as we know, then we're fighting that brain's resistance to resilience, to discomfort as well. And it is just fascinating when we can build the resilience, then those tasks just actually don't seem that difficult. So, you know, the sort of triggers we need to look for is, are we making excuses for not getting things done? Are we hesitating? Are we procrastinating? And so on. And once you're beyond that point, that becomes the norm. Oh, I can do it on Saturday. I used to say that before this weekend because one of my values now is only to work on a Monday to Friday. But I used to say, yeah, I work Monday to Friday, but I work on Saturday mornings just to catch up. Do you know what? I always worked on Saturday morning because I wasn't, yeah? It gave me the excuse to, I don't know, scroll or do something. So we want to stay motivated. And I've got some really great ways for you to stay motivated. Number one, you need to regularly review your goals and your progress with those goals. And you need to continuously set new goals as well. And keep up that momentum. Finding mentors in every area of what you want to do, whether it's business, personal training, health, wealth, again, financial advice, all those kinds of things. It's really good. Surrounding yourself with the positive people is another really, really great area as well. Okay, so let's do a great little recap. And we have our dynamism. And that is great energy, drive, force, power, active strength of body, mind, or that pizzazz that you bring to stuff. And when you have that, that to me is one of the characteristics I feel of a resilient person. So we want to avoid our distractions. We want to take a look at dynamism as why we are resilient. We've talked about the neuroscience of this, and we can just talk all night on that. But the main thing is that we have our actions that we want to go ahead and do as well. We want to really look at the mindfulness of this and improving ourselves. Even if it's one thing every week, we need to be looking at something. We need to be taking that overwhelm away and reorganizing our schedule, because that in return can really help us stay super motivated as well, which is great. So there we go. This is our mentoring session for this evening. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, let me know. I know we've gone a little bit over, so I do apologize, but thank you so much for your time this evening. I've got to prep for my next 8 o'clock. I've just got a few messages now because it's my big wellness council one, so I have to go into pre-rehearsals any minute.
That was absolutely packed. I've got 6 pages of notes. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Great. Action, ladies, is where it's at now. So that's good. But you can re-listen to this anytime, because I know we just jam-packed it full. So that would be great. I will post that probably tomorrow morning now, but it might be after my webinar tonight. But that's brilliant. Thank you, ladies. Oh, I just wanted to say, next week I am on annual leave. I am not going to do mentoring next week. I'm going to have a week off. But I will put that in the group as well, so everybody knows, and then we'll be back the following week.
Great.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye, Dawn.
Bye.